First grid pole, but he cannot beat those BMWs off the line, and the BMWs make a storming start there. DTI Dave straight into the lead with Stig following in dutifully behind in second place in the second of the BMWs, and already Lee dropping back to 5th position, and it's everybody for 5th place. It's VX Dave coming up alongside him. Skids has got 4th place sorted. VX Dave gets alongside, there's a little bit of pushing, but he's made his way through. Right behind him is Brave, second place finisher in race 1, and then just a couple of places further behind is Apex, race winner from race 1, and he's already made up to 9th from 12th on the grid, with Sammy just in tow. Simon and Mark rounding off 11th and 12th positions, all looking clean and tidy so far. We haven't really seen Bareback. Bareback has actually got up and past Stig, and he's now splitting the two BMWs. This is an excellent start from Bareback, who showed such promise in race 1 but had that jump start. So 0 points in race 1. He'll be really keen to get a good result out of this one. He almost loses it. Coming out the second Lesmo, DTI Dave touches the grass in the BMW as well, and it's everybody. These two really fighting out for the lead. Goodness me, it's just one car after another as we head down the hill now, and we go on board with Skids. And he taps into the back of DTI Dave, who in turn touches the back of his teammate, and round goes Stig as a result of being pushed over onto the grass. He just had no traction at all, and that's really unfortunate at this stage in the race. So Skids picks up 3rd place out of all of that. Stig drops all the way to the back. You can just see the BMW in the background, and then look at this battle. VX Dave getting alongside Skids now. That's up to 4th position. That's another good move, and it looks like Cordless trying to come around the outside, but he's gone out wide. He's gone out very wide indeed, and in the background we didn't see how it all happened, but Apex has got up past Brave and Cordless now. Excellent drive from the second of the blue and yellow cars, and he is now running in 5th position. And look at this gaggle of cars. VX Dave now looking at making another position as we go into turn 1. He gets up the inside of DTI Dave's BMW. They're just out of shot. I think he's done it though. They give each other room. That's good driving by DTI Dave there. And Bareback at the moment trying to steal a march on the rest of these guys. And then it's everybody for 3rd place now. We've got DTI Dave in the BMW, followed closely by Skids, followed closely by Apex. This is all very tight. And a little bit further back as well, we've got it very close as well between these guys. Lee gets it a little bit wrong, there's contact. The 3 of them go off. I don't think anyone's lost position. These guys lost a little bit of time with Brave, straight back out there. And no, they've more or less fallen back into the same position they were in. Brave has to back out a little bit. Cordless goes through. There's more contact. Mark gets, I think Mark was a little bit caught unawares by Brave and ends up pushing Simon out there, so that's more change of positions, and it's really difficult to keep on top of who's where now. So take a moment's breath, and we have Bareback race leader, followed by VX Dave, now 1.3 seconds between these two guys. In 3rd place we've got Skids after a good start for him. Apex bearing down on him, the race winner from race 1. Looking for another good result here. DTI Dave and the BMW's not having the ultimate pace here today, falling back to 5th so far, but I think he'll be quite happy. It looks a reasonably comfortable position at the moment. Brave is just about holding off Cordless for 6th place at the moment. Cordless following in the slipstream. So the black and yellow Momo car, 2nd position in race 1. Still ahead of Cordless in the blue and red Renault at the moment, and then Sammy doing a really fine job actually at the moment. He's in 8th place. He's got Lee bearing down on him. Lee of course made contact with a couple of guys on the previous lap. Let's see what happens here. Is Lee going to be able to pull a move? It's looking close. Who's going to win on the brakes? Both of them looking very gentle on the brakes there actually. Not a lot of dipping from either of the cars, but a good clean pass, and as Sammy always does, gives lots of space and keeps it very, very clean indeed. Simon, he's in 10th place, he's holding up the last points position at the moment. Mark losing out after running into Simon on the previous lap in avoidance of Brave, so he's in 11th, and Stig still running down in last place at the moment. Back to the leaders though, and it's all getting very close here, so there's now 0.4 seconds between Bareback in 1st place and VX Dave in 2nd. The go on board with VX Dave for a moment as we chase down the back straight towards the final chicane. See if there's much in it between these cars. Straight line performance of Bareback's car has seemed very good all weekend so far. Of course, with the slipstream, it should bring VX Dave back in, and it did look like just as we got towards the end of the straight there, there was a little bit more speed, and definitely getting through the corner a little bit cleaner than Bareback that time. Much tighter line on the exit of the corner, and this could really give a run as they head down towards the first corner. Now, we understand Bareback is carrying quite light fuel as he did at Sugo, so he's gone for a similar strategy at Sugo. Didn't pay off at Sugo. Remember, they had fueling issues with that two-tone green Renault towards the end of the race. But if you can get the strategy to work this time, it could very well give them a good result. And look how close they are now. This is really a battle for the lead. Look how close they are. So VX Dave now pulling alongside on the outside. To say the straight line speed of the two-tone green Renault, they've set that car up well around here. And VX Dave, even with the slipstream, look how he's struggling to really pull ahead. He's doing good on the brakes though, he's good on the brakes. There's room given both sides. Oh, there's no room given there though. So VX Dave had no time to pull out of that by the looks of it. It looked like Bareback cut across the apex a little bit. And speaking of apex, here is Apex running in third position, and he has managed to get past Skids in the background, so we missed that unfortunately watching the action at the front. We've missed out on that. And they're still almost side by side. Skids can't quite. And then in the background there was that cordless making the move on DTI Dave. We didn't quite see. Was it done? Oh, it wasn't done. But DTI Dave launches the BMW over the curve. It's so tricky here at Monza. You get those curves slightly wrong and the car is up in the air for a long time, but Dave did very well to recover the car and not lose out too much time. Just one position lost there to Cordless, so Cordless will be quite pleased to be up to 6th position now. Skids in a bit of a sandwich now in 4th position. Apex having got past, he's now stuck between the race winner and the 2nd place finisher from race 1. That is Apex currently running in 3rd place and Brave running in 5th. Oh, and Apex bounces over the curve, but the car looks very poised on the exit there. So it's going to be a good run down the straight. That should keep him ahead of Skids. I wonder if Brave in the background fancies his chances on the back of Skids. We're going to go on board, and it's certainly looking fairly close between these guys. Look at that. Skids having a good straight line. Brave is a little bit concerned his straight line speed. The Skid runs a little bit wide there. That might give an opportunity as they come up the straight. That could even be a track limits warning for Skids. And as we come down the straight, these are the guys to watch now. And here we go, Brave pulls in the slipstream. He's now getting alongside on the inside line. That's where you want to be, but he just ducks out, just decides against it as they're running into the corner. Sensible racing from these guys at the moment. Very tidy, very neat, and very fair. Looking back at the front, VX Dave has got back on the case of Bareback. Now just 3.5 tenths between them. So this is battle on again for race lead. Bareback making up a few places off the start. VX Dave starting up in 7th place. So it's a good drive from both of these guys so far. Bareback desperate to get a result after the drive-through penalty for jump start in race 1. VX Dave hoping to capitalise with potentially a win after a podium in race 1 and that disappointment of losing the race with a few corners to go. And heading down the back straight again, not really much between these guys, and it's still very close behind between these three. We've got Apex, Skids and Brave. Brave looking ever closer to Skids. Is it possible he can make a move down here? Not yet by the looks of things. And in the background, DTI Dave is now falling behind Lee. We didn't quite see how that happened. But the BMW is now running in 8th and 9th as Stig has managed to make his way up a few positions, so he'll be pleased with that after a rough time at Sugo. Oh goodness me, look how close it is again between these guys at the front. It really is nip and tuck between these two. And when is Bareback going to pit? That is the question, because of course he's running lighter fuel as far as we know than VX Dave. So we do expect he will pit within a few laps, but at the moment that's just helping them break away, because it's giving VX Dave that bit of slipstream that's very, very useful around the circuit. and that's enabled them to pull away from Apex. Though Apex does seem to be pulling away slightly from Skids and Brave at the moment, and Brave makes his move. We didn't quite see how that sort of came off, but he must have got a better exit out the final hairpin and the final corner and down the straight, pulled into the slipstream, and another move taken by Brave. So I think Brave starting 8th position. This is another good drive from Brave, looking at a podium position potentially in this race as well. Pit stops yet to happen, nobody's really taken pit stop as of yet. It's all looking very neat and tidy between these guys. Skid's just dropping off the pace a little bit, although he's still quite close with Brave at the moment. Let's see if Brave can pull away. Brave, having sat behind Skids for quite a few laps now, he clatters the curb a little bit there, and it now looks like Apex is catching slightly on VX Dave. VX Dave obviously a little bit stuck behind Bareback, although unable to actually make a move at the moment. There's a little bit of damage on the front of VX Dave's car after that contact with Bareback by the looks of things. Doesn't seem to be hampering him too much when he's in the slipstream though, so these guys still going quite fast at the front. And VX Dave's car again perhaps just looking a little tidier and tighter than Bareback's through those fast chicanes. Apex car seems to be set up quite similar to his teammate. Both of those guys looking very solid, and if anything, Brave's car looking more solid than all of them. Obviously a different team there with Team Momo and the yellow and black car. So looking a little bit further down the field now, we haven't looked much at Stig, but Stig having a good drive after the contact on race 1 that put him on the grass. Earlier on in this race, which put him on the grass and spun him out. And he's now trying to make his way back up the field, so this is good stuff from Stig, and his car always seems to be set up with a very loose tail and a very fast straight line BMW, so with any luck he'll be able to pull off a few points here for the BMW team, and his teammate just ahead in the other white BMW there, who is sat behind Lee but just pulling in the slipstream at the moment. Out in front, VX Dave and Bareback just pulling away slightly again from Apex. There's a bit of ebb and flow really. One moment Apex looks like it's catching a little bit, the next just dropping away slightly. I think it's probably a bit harder for Apex at the moment because he hasn't got a slipstream to follow. But VX Dave's job could be made a little bit more difficult if Bareback pits soon, because he won't have that slipstream to make use of. But all clean and tidy out front between these guys at the moment. It's really, really good solid driving. So just a little bit of championship trivia so far. So the first 3 races of the season have all been won by the Team Emochi blue and yellow cars. So will we see the first win for a non-Team Emochi car in this race? It's looking quite good for Bareback at the moment. He's definitely holding VX Dave off. VX Dave seems to be keeping with him but not actually able to make that move. We saw that one opportunity and it didn't pay off where there was contact at the first chicane. So at the moment things are looking quite good for Bareback. We know he's on a different strategy though. He has got a lighter car, so VX Dave could capitalise on that. If he's going deeper with his fuel, he might be able to undercut. But elsewise things have really settled down in this race at the moment. That said, it seems to be heating up again here. Just 4 tenths between these two guys. We'll go on board with VX Dave as we head down straight. You just see the speed difference. It's definitely not able to capitalise and pull in much in that slipstream, and maybe that little bit of damage is hurting a bit, but maybe it's also just the speed of Bareback's car. It just seems to be set up very fast and straight line. Even there you can just see it pulling slightly away. By the end of the straight, I expect to see VX Dave's car starting to pull in a little bit more as it pulls into that slipstream, but it's not until you get past 110 mile an hour or so that you really start to feel the effects, and that straight just is not long enough. Seldom do you see a move made into that corner, and VX Dave's way too far back to make a move. They've pulled more time over Apex now. It's interesting, this sort of ebb and flow. Apex definitely falling back, although Brave has now got a run. Perhaps Apex made a small mistake we didn't quite see. I think he might have made a small mistake, and Brave from 8th on the grid is now back up to third position, into a podium position, having finished second in the first race. Runs a little bit wide coming out of there. That could be a track limits penalty. These guys have got to be careful. There is no mercy with these track limit penalties, and it looks like, yes, Brave has slowed down. I think he must have got a track limits warning there, and Apex is straight back through. I think that was just a case of knowing that he didn't want to receive a penalty, and he's just let Apex take that position back without fighting it, which is probably the sensible thing to do at this stage. Now look again at VX Davies all over the back of Bareback. There's just a tenth and a half, 2 tenths between them. Coming into the last corner. Oh, VX Dave looking very quick. Bareback going really tight now. Is Bareback heading to the pit lane? This could be his opportunity to field. Yes, he is in. He's in. So VX Dave takes the lead for the 4th time this season. This is the 4th race out of 4 that he has led. Will he be able to pull off another victory here? I don't know at this stage. We'll have to wait and see. Bareback in the pits then, and that does promote Apex up to 2nd position. Now can VX Dave hold the pace while he's out in the lead here? Oh my goodness! Oh, and Apex goes straight across the chicane. That would be a track limits penalty for sure, unless he slows right down. Doesn't actually look like he's slowing. He's actually pulled a gap over Brave there. So he'll receive a track limits penalty for that, I'm sure, unless he backs off coming into here. I think he's decided to make his peace with it, so it looks like he'll take the penalty. Yeah, it's a 3-second penalty for track limits infringement there. But sometimes it is worthwhile just to keep your foot in and take the penalty, so let's see what that does to the overall result in the end. And Brave will still be quite happy running 3rd at the moment. Further back, things are reasonably close between Stig Lee and Simon Extreme Beef. There is just 3 or 4 seconds between 7th and 9th place there. And Bareback doing a good job actually. He's come out of the pits and he's not last. He's actually come out the pits in the points in 10th position, and he's 35-36 seconds behind race leader VX Dave. So he'll be quite pleased with that, I think, at the moment, and that could put him in for a shot at this victory towards the end of the race. VX Dave coming down the back straight now, and everything looking quite tidy at the moment. It's the guys behind really battling. Apex has pulled in the gap just slightly, but nothing of note so far. Probably some of that time really made up from the cutting of the chicane, albeit he's now received the penalty. He's now physically a bit closer on track, and there's 2.3 seconds between them at the moment, so VX Dave seems to be holding pace. Brave close behind, just another 6 or 7 tenths behind, and then Skid's now having a bit of a lonely race, but he's decided to pit. He's come into pit on lap 9 from 4th position. That's going to bring Cordless up to 4th position, and the BMWs in 6th and 7th. I think that might shoot them up as well, unless either of them pit. What's happened to Stig? Stig's still running, so that's good news. And Lee in 8th, that will bump him up to 7th for the time being, excluding pits. Now Apex has really pulled in on VX Dave. There must have been a mistake from VX Dave at that first chicane. He's lost almost a second in time. We didn't quite see what happened, and the car does look a little bit squirmy on the back, but VX Dave definitely lost time there, and that's going to make things a little bit tricky, because Apex is now within touching distance of that hallowed slipstream effect. He really is. They are 1.2, 1.3 seconds apart. VX Dave comes out the second Lesmo. He runs a little bit wide. No! He's lost it! Oh, and the car goes round. Oh, he clatters into the barrier really hard. And Apex, for the second time today, takes the lead after his teammate makes a mistake. And this is looking really good for Apex and Brave. 1st and 2nd in the first race, and they are now 1st and 2nd again. VX Dave gets the car going again, but I suspect that car is limping back to the pits, because that's going to be in a fairly bad way. It looks like it could be crabbing a little bit after clattering into the wall there. And Cordless just not too far behind now. He's just 2-3 seconds, and the 2 BMWs also within about 8 or 9 seconds of VX Dave. So that is really telling that is a really unfortunate mistake. And out front, 7 tenths between the 2 race leaders now. And who's going to take advantage out of these two? VX Dave coming through the last corner very slowly in comparison by looks of things. Is going quite tight. Is he heading for the pit lane? Look at the front of that car, a little bit dinched in. And he is. He's into the pit lane now. So he has fallen out of that podium position, and he's going to slowly fall back. And Cordless now up to 3rd position. He'll be happy with this at the moment. Cordless yet to pit, of course. In fact, the top 3, top 4, top 5 yet to pit. And top 6 as well with Lee not yet pitted. Now, VX Dave is he coming out the pit? He's on his way up the pit lane, but we know that Skids and Bareback have already pitted, and here comes Skids. Skids passes Dave. Bareback passes VX Dave. This could put him in trouble now. He's he's definitely behind, and that does put him some way off, and that could put him well down the order in the final results. Championship leader in trouble there of his own making. And Bareback now the one on the march. Can he catch up with Skids? We saw how quick Bareback's car was at the beginning of the race, really driving the wheels off of it. Brave seems to have made a small mistake. He's now 1.2 seconds behind Apex, so he's lost a fair bit of time on the blue and yellow car there. The blue and yellow car doing very, very well, just staying out of trouble, not making mistakes. He says he goes a little bit slidey into the chicane, but controls it nicely, exits nicely, and he'll be pleased with that. Brave, I think, will also be very pleased with the position he's in at the moment, from 8th on the grid. And VX Dave has rejoined 9th place at the moment. That's where he stands at the moment, so this could really lose a lot of places for him. Cordless there, 3rd position. Stig is in, DTI Dave in 4th, and then Stig in 5th. So the BMW's in good positions at the moment, but I'm not quite sure that this is going to be enough for them to score well here. I don't know that they're going to get onto the podium, and Lee is really chasing them down now. Lee's really found some rhythm in the red and yellow Momo car, teammate of Brave. It's had a good few points positions already, so this is good. There's a bumper hanging off the back though, there's some damage on that car, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for him. DTR Dave and Stig both in together. The BMWs are double pitting, so that puts them, that's now dropping them back down the order. So those guys coming through now. Will Skids get past the BMWs? Skids is past the BMWs. Bareback is past the BMWs. VX Dave, is he going to come out ahead of the BMWs? Look to the left, can we see any BMWs just out of shot there? Yes, he's come out ahead of the BMWs. You can just see the first one of those BMWs coming out now. It's DTI Dave, followed by Stig. Stig still seems to be stuck in the pit a little bit. And Simon rounding off the points at the moment, with Mark having really quite an unlucky race at the moment, holding off in 12th position. Didn't see if he's done his pit stop yet, keep an eye on that. And Sammy in 11th place, so possibly not going to score points in this one for Sammy. But these guys have just passed Stig, so Stig coming out in 11th. That must have been a very, very long pit stop for the BMW driver. Not sure what happened there, so that's a bit unfortunate for him. And then if we look back up where the battle is at, it does seem to be that Skids and Bareback are reasonably close together. Just a couple of seconds between them. Similar gap to what we've got between our race leaders. Race leaders still not come in. Apex running a little bit wide coming out the corner, really pushing the maximum out of that car. And same with Brave, though he holds a tighter line, but definitely pushing the car to the max. And that gap hovering at around 2 seconds at the moment. Cordless in 3rd place, quite a lonely 3rd place at the moment. We've yet to see him take his pit stop, and Lee also yet to take his pit stop, but running in a solid 4th place at the moment. Now Lee's taken his pit stop, so he's falling out of 4th position. Who's going to get past him? It looks like Skids is going to get past him. I think Bareback is probably going to get past him. Is VX Dave close enough? You've got to say it looks like he is. Let's have a look in the pit lane. Yeah, Lee's still stuck in the pit lane. DTI Dave might have a shot. So DTI Dave now in 8th position, coming out the final turn. Let's go on board with the BMW and listen to that BMW engine as it howls along the back straight. Just go quiet for a minute. Look at that speedo. And Lee's got out ahead. You can just see the red car in the distance there, the Momo liveried car. No, Lee hasn't got out ahead. Apologies for that. That was Cordless. So Cordless has taken his pit stop. He comes out behind VX-Dave. So VX-Dave back up to 5th after that earlier crash into the wall. And yeah, let's see what happens with that then. Extreme Beef in 8th position at the moment. Simon doing a good job. And Lee actually comes out behind him in 9th place. So that's going to be disappointing for Lee, having run as high as 4th position earlier. Doing a good job. Back out in front, the gap's coming down again, not hugely, but we're looking at about 1.6 seconds now between these two. So Brave has taken about 4/10 out of Apex's lead. It is really hard to lead a race around here. It's not just the slipstream, you've got absolutely no braking reference either. So every time somebody gets out into the lead, it is really difficult. And I think we saw earlier with Bareback, it was particularly impressive how he led the race. With very little mistakes until he then went in for his pit stop and fuel up. So let's see how it works out between these guys, but it's close, isn't it, between Skids in 3rd, Bareback in 4th position. VX-Dave not out of contention with these guys, a little bit further back. And we still haven't seen the race leaders come in for the pit, so we'll just watch these guys for a moment. Really not much to choose between them at the moment, although Brave is really bringing down that race lead now. Look at that, 0.8 seconds. That whole thing about it being difficult to lead, it's definitely true, and you can see Bareback just reeling him in now. He's now within that slipstream, so he's going to be able to just pull. It's hovering around a second, but I suspect at the end of each straight there's going to be a couple of tenths taken away. And it's now getting really, really quite close between these two guys. We have got Bareback in 4th place, hounding Skids now. Going on board with Bareback now as they go into the first Lesmo. And there's a little bit of curb rub in there from Skids. Nothing to unsettle the car too much, but it could just give Bareback that opportunity. Bareback looking quick out of the corner there. VX-Dave, you can see he's now within sight of these guys, but a little bit further back, and then there's another 10-12 seconds back to Cordless, so those guys have a fairly lonely race. Skids makes a small error, touches the grass. Bareback all over the back of him, coming into the chicane now, and they're looking quick through here. Look how quick Skids is going through the corner. Really, really quick, and the car is just bouncing all over the place. It really is fantastic to watch. And still the race leaders don't come in. So, and now the gap's gone back up again. It's now up to 1.7, 1.8 seconds. So this really is fascinating what's happening here. It was just such an ebb and flow between these two guys at the moment. Now don't forget Apex picked up that track limits penalty earlier. So at the moment he's not doing quite enough to win this race from Brave, assuming these two are the guys that are fighting for the race lead. Brave would win this due to that race track limits penalty. So we'll have to see whether Apex can pull out enough of a lead to do the double here today. Skids and Bareback side by side. Oh, Bareback up the inside, and he muscles his way through. Skids gives some really good room, although tries to come back on the exit corner. Not quite possible to do there. And meanwhile, these guys tussling with each other. He's just going to push them back into the hands of VX-Dave, who is coming within shot of slipstream, but not quite close enough yet. These two guys really racing well and hard. Bareback over the inside. Skids jumps up in the air with the red and yellow car, and there's VX-Dave in the background, going very fast indeed. In fact, he's just the fastest lap of the race, 1:56.009. Oh, and Bareback almost loses it. The back of the car goes round, but Bareback, as ever, the rally driver, manages to pull it back together, and Skids now just sits in that slipstream, and we have that opportunity to come back. Now, we know the race leaders are going to be in this time for pits because they've got no other option, and there they are. There's Apex, there's Brave, who's going to come out in front, and where's Bareback in relation? Right, Bareback coming through the final chicane, heading down the back lane, up to the final corner. We'll see what happens when they come out of there. We'll flick back to the race leaders and see where the race leaders are in comparison. VX-Dave not close enough to capitalise on these guys. And we're now on board. Apex has been jumped in the pit. That's interesting. So Brave now has the ringside seat. He has no track limits penalty, no penalties at all at the moment, and he's jumped Apex in the pit. So I don't know whether there was a difference in the fueling strategy between these guys. And look in the background. Oh, Bareback hasn't quite managed to jump any of them. So Bareback comes out in third, but I think that's next second because of the 3-second penalty that Apex is holding. And Bareback and Skids still fighting though. Could that give an opportunity? Oh, Skids runs wide though. That could give an opportunity for VX Dave now. Is he close enough? No, he's not at the moment. So it really is a case of Brave well out in the lead on his own. And this is looking quite cosy for him. You can just see Apex in the background there coming into shot, and he's coming under pressure from Bareback. There may be a 3-second penalty, but Bareback looks like he wants to take this position on track. And oh, what was that in the background? One of the cars jumping over the curb. I think that might be VX Dave making a mistake there. Didn't quite see who that was. And now on board with Bareback as we head through the second Lesmo onto the back straight. And he's following in the slipstream of Apex. And Brave well out in the lead. I think he'll be fairly comfortable now. He's got a much bigger lead than at the end of the first race when VX Dave made his mistake coming into the final chicane. It's all looking good for Brave at the moment. VX Dave not close enough for these guys to really have an impact, and Cordless a long way back. But I think it is going to be Danny in the black and yellow Momo who will take the first non-Team Emochi race win of the season. None of the guys behind really close enough to make a move on one another. But it is Brave who takes the victory here at Monza in race 2. He's had 2 second place finishes, and he'll be extremely pleased to win this race. Almost feels like a long time coming. It's only 4 races into the season and he wins for the Momo team. Excellent job there. Another good job from Apex coming home second on the track, but that's third overall as Bareback takes third. Skids 4th, VX Dave 5th, Cordless a little bit of a lonely 6th. Then we've got the first of the BMWs, DTI Dave in 7th, having a reasonably good run considering the pace of the BMW. I think he'll be pleased to finish ahead of some of the quick Renault drivers. Lee being one of those. Lee's, he made a mistake there on the last corner. Will Simon get a run? He might well do. Look at this, coming out the final corner, these two heading up to the line. This battle is for 8th position, and who's got the run? I think it's Lee, is it? No, Simon just pulls ahead as they come up to the line. It's a photo finish. I didn't even see who did that. I think Simon just. And excellent driving from those guys after that small mistake from Lee. Stig will be happy with the 9th position, and that was a very frenetic race.